group of Lear employees last summer that went into collective bargaining with the company, and the comptroller from the company filled out an LM-10 on the refreshments that they ate, the room they sat in, and the time that they spent in there. And then each person was sent basically a bill saying, now you have to fill out an LM-30 to account for what you received that day, be it a cup of coffee or a walk around the park. It's just a lot of money that's spent. It took us 6 months just to turn our accounting department around at the UAW, and I'm sure the bigger unions, it took them longer. It's something that we have to do on an ongoing basis. We keep one attorney full-time that doesn't do anything but back-check LMs. And again, that's we've also loaded on our friends, the Beck objectors. But the LMs are something we hope that they do away with very quickly. We'd really like to see them work over the National Labor Relations Board. I'm sure anyone in the room can give them a list of replacements for Ms. Chow. And hopefully she does something in her second life that's a whole lot more productive than what she's done in this one. Obviously, I'm not a friend of hers. Again, the Employee Free Choice Act, this is something that we're looking forward. Somebody said today, how would you list what the unions are looking for in this, from this president, the up-and-coming 111th Congress, which obviously in the House and the Senate we absolutely control. It would have been nice to get 60 votes and be filibuster-proof, but I share Congressman Stupek's opinion that there's a few moderate Republicans around there, and maybe we can get a few of them to vote with us on key issues, starting with the Employee Free Choice Act. But when you get right down to it, it's jobs and the economy. That's what we've got to do very quickly. We're going to have to push Congress and push the Senate for some type of a stimulus package, get the economy back up and running, to get our folks back to work. It's something you don't see. We've got a lot of layoffs going on in the auto industry right now, and they talk about our jobs bank, and they talk about different programs that we've put in over the years to protect our people. One thing they don't talk about is the transplants, as we call them, or the nationals. Currently, Toyota has about 35% of their workforce sitting home drawing 100% of their pay. They call it a furlough. Now, could they pick up the phone tomorrow and say you're no longer on furlough and their pay stops? Yes, because they have no protection. They have no right to join a union. And again, we get back to our number one priority as far as all organized labor is, and that's the Employee Free Choice Act. So that's something we're looking at. It's something we hope that everybody gets on board on in this country. As you can see from the hearings that we've been in Washington, there's a lot of misconceptions about organized labor, the UAW, our connection with a manufacturing policy in this country. This country absolutely better change and go back to having a manufacturing policy. We couldn't do anything as far as if we were ever to get in any kind of an altercation bigger than Iraq right now to fight it, because we couldn't produce the materials to do it with. In closing, just a couple of things that made me feel real good when we were doing a lot of reports. I do numbers. I like doing numbers. If the election was decided on just the 18 to 29-year-old vote, we'd be sitting right now with 41 blue states, 7 red states, and 2 split right down the middle. The young people get it, and that's probably one of the most encouraging things I've seen that we've gotten into this. When the election started and when it finished, the younger folks came out. In Michigan alone, we had 167,000 new voter registrations. We're proud of the fact in the UAW that 82% of our workforce are registered voters. It gives you a lot of extra clout when you go to the Hill and your membership's registered to vote, because they know we will react in a negative way if at least we don't get a hearing or some help. With that, again, I'd like to thank you for having me here tonight and be happy to answer any questions we can. Hopefully they're not on the car bailout. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dick. While we're at Wayne State and Detroit, are there any questions for any 3 of the panelists from anyone in the audience at Wayne State?
Yeah, we've got one. Go ahead, Jason. I think right here.
Do I have to talk somewhere? Yeah, I guess this is mostly for Representative Stupak. I've been hearing a lot about these moderate Republicans who might vote for the Employee Free Choice Act or other pro-labor legislation. Who might these people be?
Well, there's a lot less of them now than there was before the election. In the House of Representatives, actually, a lot of them retired. And when they talk about the next election, it'll be interesting to see, while we have equal number of freshmen up, many of the senior Republicans, I'll bet you, will also retire. And most of those were considered more the moderates. Because of our margin now in the House of Representatives, moderate Republicans are still important to us. One in Michigan is probably Fred Upton, would be looked at as sort of a moderate Republican that we can work with. But in the Senate, where it's critically important to get through that filibuster proof, get the 60 votes so we can prevent the filibuster, you would have the two senators from Maine, Collins and Olympia Snowe, are looked at many times as moderate, who would help us out. Arlen Specter, who will have a race of his life in 2010, will be more inclined to vote with the Democrats. There's three off the top of my head on the Senate side I could think of that would help us get to that 60 votes, and there's probably one or two others. They're there. They're just not. You just don't hear from them.
Thanks. I'll turn to Marquette, Northern Michigan. Do you have any questions, including for your congressman or the other two speakers? Did Marquette totally get snowed in? We'd heard that there was a lot of snow up there.
You only lost two, John.
I got a question for Congressman Bart Stupak. Where do you see national health care actually evolving to during the next term? And, you know, there's been everything from the assault on insurance companies to providing the vouchers and affordability. Where do you actually see this fight going and evolving in this next term?
Tony, I see the fight's already starting. We are already starting to put together groups to begin to discuss it. I sit on the Energy and Commerce Committee. In there is the Health Subcommittee. So we'll play the key role in the lead on healthcare. We've had discussions about it today amongst ourselves as caucuses, how best to approach it. President-elect Obama, the main goal they give us as we begin these preliminary discussions is everyone is going to have health insurance. Either your employer is going to have to provide it or you're going to have to provide it for your family. If you can't, we're there to help you out. And we are looking to have the first good drafts of national health insurance for every American by March, April at about the latest. We hope to have it floor votes probably hopefully before the August recess, because I think we only have this 1 year, 2009, to get it completed. 2010, you're already into the Senate elections, and a lot will be going on. Exactly what's going to be the makeup of it, we've told every stakeholder in healthcare, be prepared to help be part of the solution. Don't look at the national healthcare as an opportunity for more profitability. There's a number of things we're looking at. Single claim form, employer-employee, tapping into the federal employees health benefit package. It works all around the nation, from the smallest cities and towns in our nation to the largest urban centers. You have federal employees and they're able to access health care. Why can't other Americans? But I still see it as sorts. You purchase a policy for yourself or your family, and either your employer is going to have to help you with it or the government's going to help you with it, but you're going to have it. That's just a broad outline. Now we see it. Discussions are beginning. We've been in meetings all day, but one of them was on what are we doing with healthcare in 2009. Start the process now. Start getting some drafts. We've seen our schedule. They just put out our schedule. I expect through August of 2009 to be out here probably pretty much Monday through Friday, before President Obama even takes the oath of office on January 20th. His administration has always given us a list of things they want done. They want to clear the deck, so when they hit on the 20th, a number of things will be moving, and the first drafts of health care will start be going back and forth. The very aggressive agenda. It's completely very, very complex issue, but we're already beginning the discussions. And we are reaching out to the Republicans right now and saying, we're moving forward with this. Before the train leaves the tracks, or before the train leaves, you better jump on board, because we're serious about it. We're going to move it.
Thanks. Some questions here in East Lansing from
Jack Finn from the Michigan Department of Labor here as a nonpartisan civil servant. I'd like to ask, first of all, I'd like to know, because I have to leave before Kyle Lynn speaks, the third panel, but he notes that President Obama and Governor Granholm both shared being a third choice of labor in their primaries, but I recall the union I was a member of and staffer of endorsed Jennifer Granholm in 2001 and endorsed Barack Obama in the spring of this year, so I think that's a misconception by Kyle. But my question is, to the congressman especially, if he can even off the record, any speculation on the new Secretary of Labor. We keep hearing different names, and David Bonnier, of course, said he wasn't interested, and the only union official noted is Andy Stern of our sister SEIU. Is there any other speculation that's been heard in Washington especially? Thank you.
In Washington, everything is speculation and nothing is off the record. So other than that, no, I don't have any further insight as to who it might be. I certainly would like to see my friend David Bonnier as and former colleague as Department of Labor, Secretary of Department of Labor, but I have no inside information, nor do I want to start any further rumors.
Great answer, guy.
Is there another question in Detroit?
On the issue of health care, Congressman Stupak said that all people would have to pay into this program. What about the people that can't afford to pay in? I know you said the government would kind of contribute. Can you give us an idea where that contribution would come from and what it would look like?
Well, if you just take the Children's Health Initiative program, even those who cannot afford health insurance, they make just enough to stay off Medicaid, so they'd fall into, in Michigan we call it My Child, for everyone in their family under the age of 19. They still have to pay like $5 a month and get a decent basic Blue Cross Blue Shield policy, if you will, to take care of your general need. The feeling is it just can't be completely free. $5 is still $5. We want you to feel part of the system, not that we want you to be part of it. If you're paying something, it certainly helps us out. The federal government, especially when you're looking at right now, like the discussion was going today a little bit on health care. And again, these were discussions that those of us who sit on the committees and we're talking about, when you talk about an economic stimulus package, you know, one way to help stimulate the economy for the states is not just give the states money or say, states, you do all the infrastructure projects, but instead of paying 35% of their cost of Medicare, if we suddenly said to the states, pay us 20% of your cost of your Medicare premiums that you owe to the federal government, that would loosen up more money for the states, not only to do other things that are critically important of state services, because all the states are hurting right now, help balance their budget. But if we're going to do that, then we want to see that money goes towards health care. And the states have been very creative in covering a population that can probably least afford it if we give them the flexibility. And one way of giving them flexibility is the federal government picking up a greater share of the health care costs for Medicaid and Medicare, which would then allow them to have more flexibility on health care. So everyone's got to pay a little something. And we're going to look for different ways to do it, even if it's only $5 a month.
Marquette, I'll give you one last one.
Yeah, I think my question's for Richard Long. As far as the Employee Free Choice Act, a lot of the advertising against the campaign or against the act itself had to do with the person's name is associated with their vote. And I was wondering, how do we address that, or what is the answer as far as that kind of tactic being promoted by those that oppose it?
If I understood the question right, you said their name would be associated with their, on the card check?
That
There's
was in the advertising against the free choice